Hi, and welcome to this very short introduction to Point Reflexology. I run courses in Point Reflexology, so this is just a short inspiration, and I hope that you will enjoy it. I come from Denmark, so my English is not perfect, as Danish is my mother tongue, but I hope that you can understand what I'm trying to say, because to me this mission is more important than my vanity. So I started being a nurse, and then I got interested in reflexology and became a reflexologist in 1983. I built a reflexology school, or started a reflexology school in 1990, and that was great fun, and it really gave me a lot of experience. I also am very interested in the Bach flower remedies, and I'm a teacher in the international education program, and I have also written a lot of books, but more about that later on. There are 6 principles in Point reflexology, and of course you already know reflexology, so it's just adding one or more of these principles to what you already do. And I'm not going to change the way you treat the feet, but more inspiring you to take in more tools, so to speak. So we are talking about the 4 bodies, and I will go through that in a minute. We're talking about the 5 elements, the 7 chakras, the 38 Bach flower remedies, and also this is done in a very healing and gentle way so that you do not hurt your shoulders and arms. And also I've added that we are more than the 4 bodies. We are also some spiritual bodies. So we'll get back to that later, but still it's just a short introduction. So just to make you curious, I hope. We'll start with the 4 bodies, which is the personality. You can say it's, we know a lot about the physical body, the white in the drawing, and we don't need to tell you a lot about that. But as soon as we go further out into here, as you can say, it's an aura, we get alternative or complementary. The red body, or the red color around the physical body, is called the etheric body. It's just a couple of centimeters around the body. It's said that in the etheric body is a copy of everything that you find in the physical body. So you will have an etheric liver, an etheric spleen, and so on. This etheric energy runs into the body through the chakras and divides itself into about 20,000 meridians. But I'm only going to teach people about the 12 main meridians. But you can imagine that every little cell, every organ needs to have this vital energy that has to do with the etheric body. We call it qi in Chinese, that the qi has to go to every cell in the body. Then we have the emotional body, and of course the emotions have to do with the limbic system in the brain, but you can imagine that the emotions also have a radiation, and this is seen by clairvoyant people as more like an oval shape around the body. But just to make this easy, I've just drawn 4 bodies. So the emotional body, of course, has to do with emotions. And as we know also from modern science, emotions can very much cause a physical disease. So we also have the mental, what we call the lower mental body, which is about our convictions, our daily thought forms about he or her and about ourselves, or him or her and about ourselves. So all this we could call the personality. Reflexology only treats the physical body, unless we do something more. It's a physical method of treatment, and I would like us to treat more than the physical body, but also treat the whole personality. So this is why one-point reflexology is so important to me. Just a little bit about the physical body. We know a lot about healthy food, clean water, herbs, exercises, everything the physical body needs. And we have reflexology as a treatment, also other physical treatment methods of treatment. The etheric body is more, we don't know a lot about that, but we know some from the Chinese philosophy. So in one-point reflexology, the purpose is to teach, first of all, the students, you and others, but again, our clients, how to raise our chi. Because you can be sure that if a person has a physical disease, that person also lacks the etheric energy, the chi. So if we understand the rules or the laws that are in the 5 element, we can do something about it. We can help people to do something about it. So I'm teaching in the 5 elements, just everything that the 5 element has to do with the organs in the body, because that's our tool to treat organs and tissues and sense organs. And it's very interesting what the Chinese have to say about this. So we have 12 pairs of 12 meridians or organs and 6 pairs, and we put them into 5 elements, which means that one element, fire element, has to have 2 pairs. Each pair consists of a yin and a yang organ or meridian, and the yin organ, those are the ones in the inner circle, are responsible for much more than just the organ itself. If we take, for instance, the lung, Lu, the lung, of course, controls the lungs on a physical level, but also the skin, which means that if we have a client with skin disease or an eczema or something like that, acne or things like that, we can work on the lung energy, which means that we will treat the lung, the points for the lungs, but we can also treat, of course, some local areas. For instance, if it's in the face, we can treat the point for the face and so on. This gives us a more expanded picture of that client, because also to each element you can add much more than just tissue and sense organs. You can also add emotions, and you can add what kind of taste that person prefers, if it's a salty taste or she has a sweet tooth or something like that. And that makes it very, very interesting. We, of course, will use the points that we already know at the feet, but we can add some acupressure points. We do not need or use needles, but we can use the pressure, the massage at the acupressure points. The same points, but just another method. This is very interesting. This really opened my own eyes when I learned about it. And actually it was a Dane who he was a acupuncturist, and his wife was a reflexologist, and they had a school in Denmark. So she was teaching reflexology and he was teaching acupuncture. And so he put those two systems together, which means we have then a tool for the physical body, reflexology, food, all that, but also we get a tool to help the etheric body. Often the points are at the feet or at the hands, so it's easy. There's an easy access to treat the acupressure points for us. But I mean, much more than just pressing a point. It's much more important to know the philosophy behind, to know the philosophy in the 5 elements. And it's not complicated. It's very exciting, I think. You may also have heard about the chakras. There are 7 main chakras, but we have many more than that. But the 7 chakras are connected to an endocrine gland. And that means that when we treat the glands, for instance, pituitary gland, we have a connection to the chakra that is connected with that gland. And each chakra has a lesson to teach us. So, for instance, if a client has a problem in the pancreas, which is also an endocrine gland, that has to do with solar plexus. And solar plexus is very much about what do I like, what don't I like, and it's about to be able to distinguish and not, one day you like one thing, the other day you like another thing, but it makes you more stable and know what you want to do and what you have to choose. So there's a whole story in each chakra, which is interesting to learn, and I will also talk about that on the course. So you come to the emotional and lower mental bodies. Because the tool I use, you can use other kind of tools, but the tool I love so much is the Bach flower remedies. And they are mainly designed to help us with our emotional imbalances. But they also can help you to get more positive thoughts. So they are very good and very easy, and there are no side effects. If you choose a wrong remedy, you cannot hurt the client. They do not have interaction with other medicine. So it's really a wonderful natural system that is easy to learn. I do not teach all the 38 remedies on the 1 Point Reflexology course, because that would take, in itself, would take 2 days. But I give a short introduction and refer you to books. And there are courses all around the world in Bach flower remedies. And I mean, if you learn 1 Point Reflexology, you take one step at a time. And some people, their first step might be learning about the Bach flower remedies. Others, they would like to be more experienced in working with the 5 elements. You can choose, but this has been my way to be presented to these tools and finally be able to put them all together in 1 Point Reflexology, which is a true holistic treatment. I don't think one could call it holistic unless you work with all the 4 bodies. And also for me, to work in a holistic way is thinking about where does all this energy come from. I'm not just a personality, I'm also a soul. So if I can work from that level, try to at least use my intuition, get in contact to what we call the higher spiritual bodies. If I can succeed in that, I can work from my higher consciousness to the client's higher consciousness. And because behind all diseases, there is a story, there's a lesson to be learned, to be taught. And as long as we don't listen and don't understand what that lesson is about, the problem either get worse or will show itself in a disguise, in a maybe even a worse disease. So to me, it's all about working in silence. I talk with my clients a lot before I start the treatment, but as soon as they're on the bed, I do not talk anymore. I ask them to be quiet unless there's something important to say. That means I can try to be very mindful when I work, and also the client gets an opportunity to feel if there's something going on, either emotional or maybe it's just the healing that they can feel, because that is also part of reflexology, is to heal in a very gentle, very simple way. We can all heal, which I'm also talking more about on the course. Just to go back to the Bach flower remedies, they have this higher energy. It's part, Dr. Bach himself called it soul virtues. You could also say soul qualities. So for instance, if I'm afraid, I have forgot, that I, on a higher level, have a lot of courage. And so the remedy, for instance, Mimulus, will connect me to that courage, to that virtue again. So I sort of get a shower of that positive energy, which will wash my negative feelings away. That's the principle. Of course, it's not just a day we're talking about. If I have a lot of anxiety and a lot of fear, it will take some time before it's all washed away, so to speak. One remedy that you probably know, many people know about the Bach flower rescue, but they don't know that there's a whole system behind it. This is a mixture of 5 of the 38 remedies, and it's designed to work in emergency cases. So it's good to have in your clinic to be able to help the client to calm down if there was a traffic jam or anything, and they come into the clinic this way. So this is good to know, at least rescue remedy. Help yourself to learn more about that. It's fantastic. Dr. Bach was born in Birmingham, and he was a doctor. He lived from 1886 to 1936, and he was only 50 years when he died. He became a doctor, and he liked watching his clients, and he also knew about homeopathy, and that means that he considered that person, the client, as a whole being. He knew about soul and so on. But one thing he said was that most diseases come from a conflict between personality and soul, which means that if your heart tells you to do one thing, but all the norms and what other people think and what you have learned and your thought forms and so on take you in another direction, a conflict might arise. So to find out every disease is to find out what is the message behind this disease. Where is the conflict in me? Often it's about stress, that we stress out and we do not go into nature, and we do not see our friends and so on. So we're not satisfied and happy. So that disease might have a message saying, you should do more of this and this instead of that and that. Very interesting. He says a lot more, but it's just still a short introduction. Just a small example is a client very sad because her relationship with her mother, who is a very demanding type and demands a lot of this client. But the client finds it hard to say no and feels guilty if she should say no. So the 2 appropriate remedies here would be Centauri for helping you to keep your own boundaries and say no, and also Pine for guilt and that you blame yourself for things that you haven't even done. That would help this client to be able to say no where it's absolutely necessary to say no, because no one should actually be controlled by their mothers, their parents, when they're grown-ups. So this would help this client if she's able and if she wants to take them. This will help. Just a little bit about what I was talking about before, the 4 spiritual bodies. You could say that just outside the personality's 4 bodies, you have the higher mental body, which is the one that you can actually communicate with, because I think that the 3 other spiritual bodies, they are on such a high level that we don't even understand. But the higher mental body is what you could call your intuition. That's what tries to guide you through your heart, gives you glimpses of inspiration, makes you feel and think in another way. Oh, I just know I have to do this and this. It's more a knowledge than it's a feeling and an emotion in the solar plexus. It's more a heart thing. So that you know, but you don't really know why you know, but you just have to do it. So this is from this, it's from this consciousness that I want us to come from, or try to come from, because of course we're just human beings. We are so much personality that we cannot be there all the time, but we can, if we try to, we can get more and more inspiration from our higher self, and that will really be a benefit for the client as well. This is true healing in my point of view. So what I do is, from my intuition, when I have worked out a sort of a treatment plan, I let myself be guided to certain points where I just rest my fingers and heal. I try not to use my own personal energy, because I would be exhausted by the end of the day, but more just be a channel and let that energy flow through me into the client's feet and up into her body. And that is about being present, not talking, just being more quiet. You know, we all have days that are not so easy, but then I use Bach flower remedies to calm myself down before I go into my clinic. And this is very helpful, because sometimes you really get an inspiration that you think, oh, how did I know that? I didn't really know that. What was it that I was saying? I didn't know myself. And that is the way, you know, that Point Reflexology was created. It was just, from time to time, I got this inspiration. It took me a long time, a long journey. I had to go to several countries to get the inspiration. But finally, I got it all together. And it was not me who gave birth to that. It was my intuition, my higher self. Just the last couple of slides are about my books. I had 3 of those translated, so you can, I don't think they are very expensive, but it's ebooks, and you can get the book Point Reflexology. But if you are intended to go, if you want to go to a course, one of my course, and join the online course, the book is included in the price. But I have written 2 books about the Bach flower remedies. One is for the family, teenagers, parents, children, and one is about women 40 plus. It's not only about the Bach flower remedies, but also about the Chinese philosophy around the menopause. There's so much to say to that. Why is it a transition, and to what? So that's my best shot on that question. So you can find my books on casu.dk, but at the top you can find both a link referring to the courses, and also one for the ebooks in English. So the last here is about the course. You can find the next course there, and maybe we'll see one another in cyberspace. I hope you just found this inspiring, and I wish you a very good day. Thank you.